Hello and welcome to Nutrition in the Healthcare System, Biology 2331. If we haven't already met, my name is Dr. Chris Distel and I'll be your instructor this summer for Summer Session 2 2018. If you haven't taken an online class before, that's perfectly fine. I think you'll find it's a useful medium for this kind of a course. It's got its pros and its cons, and we'll talk about those. But I thought first what we could do is cover some of the highlights of the syllabus. Now, I say highlights because syllabi are notoriously kind of boring, but they include some really important information. I've tried to make your syllabus just as useful as I can, and in fact, it's useful in a way that if you have a question about the structure of the course, typically the first place you should go to find an answer to that question is right to your syllabus, which is posted on Canvas, on the first page of our class on Canvas. Canvas is a new feature for us this summer, and it will be our learning management system from here on out at Schreiner. So if you're used to using Schreiner 1, Canvas has many of the same kinds of features, although it looks a bit different. The interface is different. So we won't do anything really through Schreiner 1, except I will post your final grades there, and that's how Schreiner will continue to monitor your transcript. But otherwise, all of the materials for the class will either be from your textbook or administered through Canvas. Let's take a look at the syllabus together and just hit some highlights. My contact information is at the top, and so you can get a hold of me by email as best. I check my email many times a day, and I would ask that you do too. I will send emails either directly to you if we need a one-on-one kind of a conversation, or I will send email through Canvas to the whole class. What I ask is that you check your Schreiner email at least once a day and make sure that in Canvas your settings are prepared in such a way that all the Canvas emails go to your Schreiner email so you don't miss out on anything. A little course description there at the top of the syllabus and course objectives, departmental outcomes. Here's what we're going to do. Instead of reading all of this to you right now, I'm going to ask that you read through this, and for your first assignment, this is an extra credit assignment for 1 extra credit point, email me by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, Tuesday, July 10th, that you have read the entire syllabus and that you understand it and that you don't have any questions, or that you've read it and you do have some questions, and then of course just let me know what those questions are. Frequent communication is the best way to be successful in a course like this, so please don't hesitate to email me numerous times a day if you feel that's appropriate. That's what I'm here for. I'm a resource for you. So we'll skip through much of the first page here on the syllabus. Hopefully you've gotten your required textbook now. This is the 8th edition of Nutrition Essentials for Nursing Practice. If you have an older edition because of you borrowed it from a friend or something, that's probably fine, but the framework is set up for the newest edition. Your grading scale is indicated there, and then we will go over assessment because I know that's what most people care most about on the syllabus. You'll have 3 total exams, 2 normal exams and 1 comprehensive final exam. You'll have a food journal assignment, and that's going to be coming up right away. You'll have 2 papers, each worth 100 points that you'll turn in throughout the course. You'll have a few different homework assignments, 4 different homework assignments at 25 points each. And then we'll be participating in 2 group discussions based on things that I assign. Just under your assessment on the syllabus is a slight expansion on what each of those assignment types is, what it means, and what it's for. So take a look at those exams and assignments and so on. I do want to mention just very briefly that communication should be something you get used to. Definitely reach out to me. Again, I don't see myself as somebody who's got a bunch of information that you need to absorb. I see myself as a person who's going to facilitate your learning in this class. And so if you feel like you're not learning, or if you feel like you've got challenges with learning, you want to talk about study techniques, new ways to explain things, different approaches, that's exactly what I'm here for. And that's what all your faculty are for. We are here as resources for you. There's a section on the syllabus about timing, and I'll just briefly say that most of this course is asynchronous, meaning that you can do it at your own pace. In fact, with very few exceptions, you could potentially work through all of the readings and all of the homework and everything within the first couple of days. And that's perfectly fine. Whatever pace is comfortable for you is most important. However, that's also a challenge because it involves useful time management. So you need to identify the timing that works best for you so that you get into a pace where you don't get left behind. You don't want to, for instance, come up on an exam day and not have done the reading and have 7 or 8 chapters of reading that you have to do the night before. That would be not productive for you. If you haven't planned out a schedule for yourself yet, that's fine. I recommend that you be reading at least a chapter a day, probably in some cases 2 chapters during weekdays. Maybe not all at once. If you've got 20 minutes now, 20 minutes later, 20 minutes before bed, and you could space it out like that, that might work very well for you. These chapters are somewhat lengthy in terms of page numbers, but they've got lots of big pictures and big figures in them, so it's not an insurmountable amount of text at all. What I like about the chapters is that they have lots of examples, so you see connections between the concepts that we're talking about and real-life scenarios where they might be applied. There will be 2 parts of this course that are what are called synchronous, meaning we are going to engage in them all together at the same time, and we'll talk about scheduling those as they get a little bit closer. There will be 2 group discussions, and we'll do those through Canvas in the conference feature, so we will work together in real time on those. But again, pretty flexible about when those happen, so long as we can all be together at the same time. There's a note about academic dishonesty or plagiarism, and I wish we didn't have to talk about this, but unfortunately every semester this comes up. Somebody tries to present somebody else's work as their own. Even if you do that by accident, it's still plagiarism. So in a class like this where you're giving exam responses, you're writing papers, you're doing homework assignments and so on, in most sciences, the nature of scientific communication is such that direct quoting is almost never useful. There's a lot of information, a lot of ideas, a lot of evidence to bring together. The most effective way to do that, and the way that I'm requiring for this class, is that you paraphrase. You take a bunch of ideas, you look through them, you get an overall consensus of those ideas, you put those ideas together in your own words, and that's the key here. It has to be in your own words, and then you cite the sources from which you got the ideas, but not the language, because the language is your own there. So paraphrasing with citation is the name of the game for scientific communication, and will be the name of the game for our course. And as a general rule, the format for citations that we'll use is APA format. So if you're unfamiliar with APA format, there are lots of great online resources. I like the Purdue University Online Writing Lab, or Purdue OWL. They have great, short, direct-to-the-point resources for using APA citation format. But if you have any questions about APA, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. It's much better for you to have a question about citation format or citation procedures and ask me before the assignment is due, rather than assume you know what's going on, submit the assignment, have it be plagiarized, and then we've got to go through a notice of academic misconduct with the Office of Academic Affairs. That's no fun for you, it's no fun for me, it's no fun for them. So best we can do is just try to avoid that. Cite as much as you can, paraphrase everything, don't give direct quotes, and we'll be in good shape. There's a statement on students who need special circumstances here on the syllabus on the next page. Please feel free to take a look at that, and contact Dr. Gallick in the LSS office if you have questions. I've broken out on the PDF version of your syllabus. You'll see this. It's not visible on the digital HTML version that's on our first Canvas page, but right at the top of that syllabus page, there's a link to the PDF version. I've got the chapters broken out in different colors, and what you'll see is that the blue section is the material that will be on the first exam, the pink section will be on the second exam, and the green section will be on the third exam. Now, of course, the third exam, the final, is comprehensive. So the blue and pink sections material will also be on the third exam, but that's just broken out visually a little bit. In the first section, I've got some exercises for you to practice. These are ungraded, but will give you an opportunity to get used to answering questions about nutrition and get you in the habit of looking critically at the kinds of material that you're being presented with. So check your knowledge exercises are going to be pretty common in the first set of readings. There will be a couple of those in the second set, and then not required for the third set, but I encourage you to take a look at those as you see fit. And then there will be some case studies as well that I'd like you to use in the first set, really bringing together what you've learned in terms of topic for the chapter and seeing that in use, in practice with patients. I've got a tentative schedule for due dates there at the bottom of that page. That is subject to change as we see fit. I know at least one of you will be doing some traveling this summer. We may need to move a couple of these dates. But ultimately, with the exception of the discussions and the exams, all of the homework and all of the papers can be turned in as early as you want. They just can't be turned in later than the dates that are indicated here. The last couple pages of your syllabus are having to do with your assignments. So first you'll see the food journal. This is the format that I'd like you to use for your food journal, and I'd like you to start that today. After you watch this video, whatever your first meal is, if it's lunch or dinner, or maybe it's going to be breakfast the next day, I want you to spend 24 hours logging everything you eat. You're going to look at the portion size, and then I want you to look at the nutrition labels. How much sodium is in that portion size? Fat, sugar, carbs, and calories. We're going to talk about what that means. What are some of the commonly assumed things about different aspects of nutrition, maybe some misconceptions about different aspects of nutrition. But the important thing is that you log everything you eat for 24 hours. That will be due then no later than midnight tomorrow night, Tuesday night, so that you'll have completed a full day of logging. You don't have to really spend a lot of time analyzing this. What I want you to do is just turn in this chart with the recommended daily allowances for each of these things. If you want to build this in Excel, that's perfectly fine. That may be an easy way to do it. It doesn't have to be a copy and paste from this document. Next page, you see that there are written assignments. These are for your papers. You'll need to choose two of the topics that are listed below here: diabetes, hypertension, malnutrition, or hyperlipidemia. Those are your 4 choices. You'll choose 2 for each of your papers throughout the semester. Each of your papers will need to address all 9 of the bullets here, so make sure that you've got each of those things accounted for. The challenge here is that you'll need to be very concise, because in order to address all 9 of those, you only have a limited amount of page space, you'll really need to be very clear and concise about exactly what you mean and what you want to convey, rather than going on and on about each of these things. So I think you'll find your biggest challenge in making the paper short enough rather than making it long enough. Finally, we've got the homework assignments here, and you will address each of these, all 4 of these, for 25 points each. So that gets us through the syllabus. If you have any questions about the syllabus, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. I would recommend that you go ahead and get started on your first chapter or 2 of reading today, and that you be logging your food consumption and drink consumption through your food journal. There will be no judgment about your food consumption here. It's a good way to reflect on what we're actually taking in and what that means for our lifestyle. Okay, so again, the most important thing you can do is be honest about when you need to communicate. Let me know if you've got questions, and take advantage of me as a resource. Thanks very much, and I look forward to working with you this semester.